Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I want to talk about my experience trying a graphic audiobook for the first time. Now, the first time I heard about a graphic audiobook, it was actually a friend of mine who told me about it, and we were talking about the Sanderson books, and he told me that he listened to part of it on graphic audio. And so the first thing I thought was, well, what's a graphic audiobook? Why is it called graphic? Is there a bunch of swearing? Is it like explicitly sexual? And it turns out that it's an audiobook that has a bunch of sound effects. So I went on the graphic audio website, and they market these graphic audiobooks as a movie in your mind. And that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? And it turns out it's pretty accurate. So I decided to try my first graphic audiobook as Sanderson's Edgedancer, which is the Stormlight Archive book 2.5, which I never actually read. I just read 1, 2, and 3. I started out with this one because it's pretty short, which meant that it wouldn't be a huge time or financial commitment if it didn't end up working out. But I loved listening to the graphic audio for this. The production quality is top notch. And so I'll get into my experience, the pros, and what the possible cons are. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the actual book, Edgedancer, at the end. So like I said before, they market this as a movie in your mind. And I think that is very, very accurate. That is how it felt while I was listening to this audiobook. There is music, there's background music throughout most of the narration, and they do such a good job of picking music that sets the tone for the scene of the book. When you're supposed to be feeling anticipation, you really feel the anticipation. Or when the character is feeling despair, they set the scene so that you can feel those emotions as well. I would say that fight scenes take on an especially fun tone when you're listening to them on graphic audio, because you can hear the swords, you can hear the grunts of the people that are having fights. You can hear them fall down. You can hear them get back up. It really is like a movie playing out in your ears as you are experiencing the book. And then there's the little things like people whispering in the background when a character is having a conversation. You can hear footsteps, you can hear doors opening and closing, just these little sound effects that accompany the events of the book, which just bring it to life. So this really does go beyond a normal audiobook. It's not pure narration, it is bringing the story to life, and it does it so amazingly well. And you know, when you are trying something new and it's a little pricey and you're hoping that you don't like it because you don't want to have to keep buying it. That's how I felt going into this. And boy, I did enjoy it so much. So my wallet may not be happy about it, but I really want to be able to try out another graphic audiobook in the future. Now, what about some of the cons of the graphic audiobook? Some of the things that I didn't like so much. One of the biggest things that I didn't like was that there isn't really a natural stopping point. So the audiobook is continuous from beginning to end. There aren't any breakdown of chapters, for example. So when I want to stop, I have to stop in the middle of something, whereas I prefer when I'm pausing my reading or my listening to stop at like the end of a chapter. So I really wish that that was something that existed. This was a pretty short one. This was about 4 hours, so it wasn't a huge deal. I was just listening to it as I was doing chores. But usually when I'm listening to audiobooks, I like to set sleep timers for the end of the chapter when I'm getting ready to stop reading. Another gripe I had was that sometimes, this wasn't often, but sometimes the music was a little bit too loud for the narration, which made it a little bit hard to hear what the narrator was saying. It also meant that there was like this huge jump in volume in my ear from time to time. Third potential con is that you can't speed this up, but that's also kind of the point. It is meant to be experienced the way that it is. So I wouldn't want to speed this up. And I didn't read this or I didn't listen to this while reading the book. So I don't know that it actually exactly follows the book. I think they do cut parts out, because when I looked at the audiobook for one of the Stormlight Archive books, its length was longer than the full graphic audio. So So they're definitely cutting things out. Another con is this seems to exist mostly for fantasy novels. I can see why that's the case. I feel like this experience is more suited to these fantasy novels, which have these huge worlds and all this action that happens. Last con, it is a little pricey. So for example, the Stormlight Archives in their entirety range from $100 to about $130 for the graphic audio for the entire novel. I can understand why they're pricey. Like I said, there is serious production quality, and I imagine that has to come at a high cost. One thing I'll say is that every time I go on their website, there seems to be some sale going on pretty regularly, so you shouldn't ever have to pay full price for any of these. I know that when I got it at a little bit of a discount, but overall, I did enjoy the experience, and I would most definitely look into trying another graphic audiobook. Now, for the book itself, so Edgedancer, the Stormlight Archive 2.5, like I said, I read 1, 2, and 3, and I had skipped over this. I don't think I even knew that it existed. I thought the book was okay. I'm not a huge fan of the character Lift. To be fair, she is a 13-year-old, so a lot of the book was her whining, which I, didn't enjoy too much. I definitely prefer the many other characters in the Stormlight Archive, and I'm very much looking forward to the new one that's coming out in November. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.